just feeling a little uncertain at this point. So a couple of weeks ago, I went shopping and I was perusing the fabric clearance section, as one does. And I came across this fabric that as soon as I saw it, I was like, I need that. I need that fabric in my life. And yeah, it kind of sat in the corner for about a week and I was like, oh, I really need to make something with that. I'm not sure what I want to do. And then over that week, things started to really kind of warm up here and things started to bloom. And I was like, oh, spring is here, like spring is coming. So I was like, oh, I should do something spring related. So I sat down and did some sketches. And yeah, we're gonna make a spring dress. This is the original fabric that I found. It's this like very kind of muted green. It's very sheer, as you can see. And it's kind of got this like crinkly texture to it. Yeah, just something about it. I was like, I really, really love this fabric. I think it's really, really cool. And yeah, I was like, I really want to make something with this. So this was what started this whole project. And so then I made my design and then went out and bought all of these. So this is kind of the color palette we're going to be working within. And then this like flesh toned wall over here. But this base dress is the same pattern that I used for my Halloween dress. So if you haven't seen that video, I'll link it or put a card or whatever. So you can go see that. I will walk through I show the whole process of how I made that dress and how it came together. So this is just the same thing. So I figured you guys didn't need to see it twice. So it's really simple how this came together. So that's kind of mostly done. So then we can kind of get into what's going to make this dress a spring dress. So yeah, so let's we'll walk through the design and go from there. All right, so this is the pattern that I used for the Halloween dress, which is view A right here. So as you can see, it's just a bodice, a skirt, a gathered skirt, and then it has some lace detailing at the top. So this is the base for our spring dress. So this is the sketch that I've put together. So a couple of differences that we're going to make. I still want to do the detail at the top, but instead of it kind of attaching and going under the top here, I want it to overlay over the whole bodice. So this whole area here and then the sleeves will actually be this sheer green fabric. And then my base dress is actually this kind of light tan, slightly skin colored, and then this is just muslin. And then we're gonna have this green fabric overlaid on the bodice. So the green fabric will be this kind of yoke detail up here and the sleeves. So these kind of big petal shapes here, that will be the green fabric as well. And then on this side, so I've kind of done some research throughout the week. My initial plan was to just have kind of this like ruffled edge along the bottom, and then I wanted to make these big fabric flowers to kind of put on this side of the skirt. I was able to find some fabrics at the store that were kind of within that same color range that I wanted to do, and I actually found them in the remnant bin, which is always a good thing. I think I'm going to actually do some overlays on this side and then do the fabric flowers on top of them. So I found this kind of satiny kind of material. It's like really shiny, and it's a similar color to the muslin. And so I found this technique. So you cut out a circle, and then instead of doing your circle in the middle like you would for a circle skirt, you actually do it on the side, and then you kind of cut it here. And so then when you drape from this inner circle along the waist, it kind of creates this like cascading kind of like petal-y kind of waterfall effect. But I think I want to do something similar to that over here. So we kind of get like these like petal shapes along this side of the skirt. And then I want to do these smaller flowers on top of it. So this was one of the fabrics I found. I also found this kind of white sheer fabric as well. So I figured these two fabrics could work really well for that. And then for the actual flowers, I found, so the first one is this dark purple. It looks really dark on camera. It's dark purple. It's kind of a shimmery, soft fabric, and then a sheer fabric in that same color. So again, I've looked up tutorials on like how to do fabric flowers and that kind of stuff. And so I think I'm gonna mix these two in the petals just to give it a little bit of variety. So that's the first color. And then the second one is more of a pinky kind of color. And so these are the same kinds of fabric, just a different colors. So these are, these are all the fabrics we have to work with. And yeah, so that's the kind of the base design that we have so far. So what I have done at this point is I have the base dress kind of done. So one of the first things we'll need to figure out, and I've started to play around with this a little bit, is this yoke detailing up here. Because I want this to overlay on top of the bodice, I need to extend it so it includes the bodice as well. So we'll kind of walk through that. So for the back pieces, so these are the two bodice back pieces that kind of go together here. Kind of overlap them a little bit for seam allowance. And then this is that, that yoke piece for the back. So if we kind of like put these all together, like so, you know, these are all fairly straight seams. I'm not too worried about the back. I figure we can, you know, kind of just make this one piece. This is not the hard part. The hard part is the front, because that's where all the curves are. So here are my two front bodice pieces, and then the front yoke piece. So if we kind of lay all these together, you can see there's a lot of gaps and lines and that kind of stuff. So what I've done is I kind of started with this top piece and kind of overlaid that a little bit here, and then tried to orient this piece around. So and I also started to look at, you know, you can look at these markers that are on here. So there's these dots. So I tried to line those up and kind of, you know, line the dots, line the arrows, all that kind of stuff. And once I started to do that, I was like, okay, this starts to fit a little bit better up here. So from this, and obviously there's a large dart down here. That's fine. We can sew in a dart. That's okay. So from there, I kind of laid those out, and then I laid them out on some spare Star Trek fabric, and I cut out a mock-up. So this is cut, this is just one half of it. I think I want to go ahead and cut out a full one. I did pen a little dart here that you can kind of see. And so I think this is going to be our pattern piece for the front for the green fabric. So this is the base dress as she currently is. I don't have the bodice and the skirt attached yet. I want to do the overlay on the bodice before I attach them, so that way the waistline is a little bit cleaner. And then you can see the pleats that I've done on the skirt instead of just gathering it. So I went ahead and cut out another mock-up of this kind of overlay piece from the one that I showed previously. So this is the full piece. So I've cut it on the fold. So kind of putting this on here, we can kind of see what that starts to look like. And then with most dress forms, unless you have one that is specifically made to you, my body is differently shaped than this dress form, as I found out for the last dress I made. So this kind of fits very differently. So I may need to kind of get the bodice to a point where I can actually pin it on myself and then overlay this on here. I guess I could just hold this up to myself. Let's see how that works. Let's get all this hair out of the way. Okay, let's see here. Yeah, I may just need to add a little bit more to the side seams because I think I'm going to end up finishing it with French seams anyway. And then we'll call that good. right, so here's all the flowers that I have made in the evenings this week. So these are the biggest ones that I've made, and as you can see, they're pretty good size. And they are a mixture of kind of that more solid fabric with that more sheer fabric, just to kind of give them a little bit of texture. So these are made up of all these like little like circle pieces or like petal shaped pieces that I had cut out. And so what I did is I just kind of like layered them together to kind of create all those different shapes. So one thing I didn't go over is that when they're still like cut out like this and these just circle pieces, I went ahead and laid them out and sprayed them with hairspray. Because they were kind of flimsy, they just needed a little bit more stability. And so once I sprayed them with hairspray, especially these more like these more sheer pieces became really, really stiff and held their shape really well. You can kind of see some of these are a little flimsy, so I might just take some glue and kind of hold that in place. I made these like little beaded centers to put in these, and I think that just it just adds a little bit of sparkle to them, which I think looks nice. And then these kind of the middle and smaller flowers that I've made. So the sheer pieces, what I did is I took these, like I cut them more in a circle instead of like this teardrop shape, and I just cut like 5 slits around it, so it kind of gave them 5 little petals. So I burned those petal shapes so they became like really crinkly and separated, and then I stacked 4 of those shapes on top of each other, just sewed them together, and then glued this little center on these. I really like these. These and the smaller ones, like these are some of my favorites. Like I really, really like how they came out. I'm really happy with these. I like the way that they look. I like the different sizes and the different shapes. I like the colors together. So yeah. Okay, so we've made a little bit of progress on the dress. The bodice and the skirt are I still haven't attached those yet, but I've done some work on the green overlay for the top. Before we can sew all of this onto the skirt, I want to do some of the overlays on the skirt. So that's the plan for today. That's the next step that we're gonna do today. Okay, so I've played around with a bunch of different things. I think I like it. Right now it's looking very green, which I don't know. I'm kind of on the fence at this point. I do like the way that the kind of flower side has come together, but I think think I'm liking the direction of where this is at this point. So I think I can start getting things sewn together and then kind of get the dress together, and then we can start adding the flowers, which I think will help. Just feeling a little uncertain at this point. But overall, I think it's in a good spot. It's definitely going to be very twirly. So what I've done is all the petals and everything and all the little leaf shapes that I've cut out, I went ahead and burned all the edges on those so they wouldn't fray. And actually, I kind of like the way it looks a little bit better now, because it kind of gives that, you have more of a defined edge, and especially with these white sheer pieces, it helps gives it a little bit more shape. So I've basted all of these to the skirt, and then the top piece, I've pinned the green overlay to the first layer of the bodice. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and attach the bodice and the skirt together. That way I can get the zipper installed, make sure everything fits. And yeah, we'll go from there. All right, so I've got it all together. I've got the zipper installed. I tried it on. It does fit. I'm still a little on the fence. It kind of right now looks a little bit like a Tinkerbell. Just not my intention. I like how it's starting to come together. I think once I start to add, you know, some of the other elements and stuff, I think things moving forward, I think I'm going to add some more leaves under here, and just stitch them directly onto the skirt, just to give it some more volume and play with the more layering the colors and that kind of stuff. So I'm going to put those under there. Additionally, we're going to go through and start adding some of the flowers. And then I may go through, because I still have a bunch of those seed beads, so I may go through and just add like little clusters of them just to give it a little bit of sparkle. I feel like I need to add something to the bodice as well, but I'm not sure quite what yet. And then figure out what to do with the sleeves. I still need to finish these, so we'll see. I think there's something here. So I'll keep moving forward with the ideas that I had, but yeah, right now it's just kind of feels a lot like Tinkerbell. And that was not my intention when I started this. So yeah, we'll see. Yeah, I guess that's it. So it's been a little bit since I've recorded anything. It's probably been like a week or two. I've kind of hit a wall on this project a little bit. I just kind of haven't really had the motivation to work on it. I just wasn't very happy with how it was looking so far. Even looking back on like my original sketches and some of the initial reference imagery that I pulled, all I see is Tinkerbell, and I really, really did not like it. So I was trying to brainstorm ways to make it less Tinkerbell. And then late one night, I attacked my dress with a pair of scissors. So it's late on a Tuesday night, and I hate this dress. Oh, I'm so scared to get into this. It was bad. So yeah, so I attacked my dress with a pair of scissors. I like it a little bit better. It still needs a lot of work. I think at this point I just need to get the details on and just finish it, because I'm kind of over it, which I don't like to admit, but you know, you kind of hit that wall in a project where you can see the end, but nothing's really coming together the way that you want it to. And then once you kind of do that last like 10%, then it's like, okay, no, it all came together in the end. And I think that's the point where I'm at right now. And so I just need to like push through this wall to get to the end. And I think I'm going to be very happy with the end result. So that's what we got. This is what she looks like right now. So all the flowers are just pinned on at the moment. Nothing is sewed down. I'm still trying to play with the placement a little bit. I feel like this cluster right now feels very heavy, and so I kind of want to spread it out a little bit more. But as you can see, I've cut the green overlay on the bodice and kind of overlapped it a little bit, which I think helps. I'm still undecided on if I'm going to keep both sleeves or not. I've kind of gone back and forth on it, but I'm going to leave it for now. And then we'll see what we end up with. And then on the back, I've brought some of the flowers around to the back as well, just to kind of, one, help it feel a little bit cohesive. And when I cut the green overlay off on this side, my base layer didn't get caught when I did my zipper originally, so that's to help cover up some mistakes as well. But I do like the flowers back here, so I think that kind of worked out nicely. But other than that, as far as finishing it, I want to get the flowers on, and then I might do a little bit of beading on the skirt just to add a little bit of extra sparkle down there. But yeah. This is where we're at so far. So just want to kind of get through and finish this project. So. I finally finished it. Do you want to see it? So here she is in all of her flowered green glory. So I kind of wanted to come in at the end and do a little bit of a outro overview, that kind of thing, because I'm in the middle of editing the video now, and there's a couple of places where I just didn't record or I didn't really explain things very well. And part of that is because this project ended very differently from how I thought it was going to start. First of all, I thought it was going to be a very quick project, and it was not. I had a very clear vision in the beginning of what I wanted to do, and then hated it and decided to change course and do something different. And I think part of that is because this kind of adventure into sewing and costuming and just making things up on my own is very new to me. Some couple things I wanna talk through on the dress is, so on the flowers, I know I kind of roughly went over on how these were constructed. Again, I will link the tutorials that I followed or the channel that I followed. I took a lot of inspiration from that. But again, I just kind of played with things and made things up and used them as I found that they worked for me. And then I just kind of like roughly tacked these down, and I tried to tack them down more in the center so that all the petals would be nice and loose. For these bigger flowers, there are a couple of areas where I did tack them down along the edges of the petals just to kind of help them, you know, stay up and take their form a little bit better, because they're so heavy and they are a little more floppy. They needed a little bit more help. So I just kind of played it by ear and kind of looked at it on the form and figured out what areas needed a little bit more help. I did add some beading on these white ruffles down here. Didn't really come across. They took a really long time to do, and they do look really nice in person, but you can't really see it in the pictures and you can't really see it in the video. But they do look very nice in person, so I don't regret doing them, but they did take a while, and unfortunately, I'm the only one who could see them. And then one of the last minute decisions I decided to make, and I don't know how well this inspiration came across, but I decided to add these clusters of green beading up on the sleeves and up around the top. And I did this to mimic moss. Again, I don't know how well that comes across. I kind of wish I had more time. This is my own arbitrary deadline. But I wish I hadn't kind of like made these bigger. I feel like that would have been better, or even done it with like sequins or something like that. Another last minute addition that I did is I went ahead and added some boning on the inside of the bodice. I just like quickly stitched some very rough channels, stitched those to the lining of the bodice, and then just I harvested some plastic boning from a corset that I bought from a thrift store. So I have this like where these leaves kind of wrap around. So the zipper for the dress actually extends all the way down here into the skirt. And I wanted to cover that up because I didn't want to cut around the leaves or anything to try to incorporate it into the leaves. So these leaves are free floating. So when you put on the dress, you zip it up and you grab this and it wraps around. And on the back side of this little purple flower, there's a little snap. So you just snap it in place. And yeah, that stays there. It covers up the zipper. So the back looks nice. And yeah, that's our spring dress. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video and watching my creative process as I flounder along sometimes. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope to see you next time. If you would like to follow me over on Instagram, I'll have that linked below. I post a lot more over there. A lot more like, you know, in the middle of mid-project kind of the stuff as I'm working on things, and also a lot of dog photos. So hopefully you'll follow me over there. If you would like, you can also subscribe to this channel. I don't upload super regularly, but I try to when I can. I feel weird suggesting that, but apparently that's what you're supposed to do on YouTube. Thank you for watching. Bye. What are you doing? Go lay down. Go in. Crazy animals. Is that better? Should your hair down? Is that better? Better? Better. Better? Okay, this mic has like a clip on it. It's so tight you can't put it on anything. So if you don't have pockets, you're screwed.